Chapter 3 Life Processes in Living Organisms, Part 2. Introduction. Our living world is made up of innumerable living organisms. These living organisms strive every day for their survival. If we consider the case of humans today, human life is under constant pressure. Humans act like machines nowadays. But can you tell how this machine actually works? All living organisms, including human beings, carry various life processes to sustain and survive in this world. We all know that life processes like nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion, and control and coordination are essential for the survival of all living organisms. Life processes like nutrition, respiration, and transportation are crucial in production of energy required by the body. Cell division plays an important role in the growth of all living organisms. The process of formation of two new cells from the pre-existing cell is called cell division. There are two main types of cell division: meiosis and mitosis. 4 cells are produced at the end of meiosis, whereas at the end of mitosis, 2 cells are produced. In meiosis, the chromosome number is reduced to half in each new daughter cells than the parent cell, unlike mitosis, in which the chromosome number in each daughter cell remains the same like the parent cell. Here we are talking about chromosomes. But do you know what actually chromosomes are? Chromosomes are thread-like structures located inside the nucleus of a cell. Each chromosome is made of protein and deoxyribonucleic acid, that is, DNA. Passed from parents to offspring during cell division, DNA contains the specific instructions that make each type of living organism unique. Cell division is also very critical in one more life process, which is reproduction. Unlike other life processes, reproduction does not help the organism to remain alive, but it helps to maintain the continuity of the species of that organism. Come, in this chapter, let us study about this life process in detail. Sexual reproduction. The process of formation of new organisms by an organism of the same species without involvement of gametes is called asexual reproduction. As this reproduction does not involve the union of two different gametes, the new organism formed has exact genetic similarity with the reproducing organism. This is uniparental reproduction, and it occurs by mitotic cell division. Absence of genetic recombination is a drawback of this reproductive method, whereas fast process is its advantage. Come, let us do a more detailed study of this method of reproduction. First, we will study about asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms. Asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms. Binary fission. Come, let us perform an interesting activity to understand about this method of reproduction. Take a conical flask and collect water in it from a pond having stagnant water and aquatic plants. Add some wheat grains and aquatic plants in this collected water to make this medium nutrient-rich for bacterial growth. Keep this setup undisturbed for about 3 to 4 days to allow the wheat grains and aquatic plants to decompose. On the 4th day, take a clean glass slide and add a drop of this water on it. Carefully place a cover slip on this drop and observe the prepared slide first under the low power and then under the high power of a compound microscope. Can you tell what is observed under the microscope? Yes. We observe that some fully grown paramecia divide their body into two parts to form two similar paramecia. This method of asexual reproduction is called binary fission. Kindly note, strictly follow cleanliness during this entire activity. Wash your hands with soap after completion of the activity to prevent occurrence of any kind of infection. Prokaryotes like bacteria, protists like amoeba, paramecium, euglena, etc., and eukaryotic cell organelle like mitochondria and chloroplasts perform asexual reproduction by binary fission. In this process, the parent cell divides to form two similar daughter cells which has the potential to grow and get to the same size as that of the parent cell. After binary fission, the parent cell does not exist anymore. This method of asexual reproduction occurs either by mitosis or by amitosis. Axis of fission or division is different in different protists. For example, amoeba divides in any plane due to lack of specific shape. Hence, it is called simple binary fission. Paramecium divides by transverse binary fission, whereas euglena divides by longitudinal binary fission. Binary fission is usually performed by living organisms during favorable conditions, that is, availability of abundant food material. Come. After learning about binary fission in detail, let us now study about one more type of fission in the unicellular organisms, and that is multiple fission. Multiple fission. Asexual reproduction by multiple fission is performed by amoeba and other similar protists. Amoeba stops the formation of pseudopodia and thereby its movements whenever there is lack of food or other type of adverse condition. It becomes rounded and forms protective covering around plasma membrane. Such encysted amoeba or any other protist is called as cyst. Many nuclei are formed by repeated nuclear divisions in the cyst. It is followed by cytoplasmic division and thus many amoebulae are formed. They remain encysted till there are adverse conditions. Cyst breaks open on arrival of favorable conditions and many amoebulae are released. After multiple fission, the parent cell does not exist. Come, let us now study about how some unicellular organisms reproduce by the method of budding. Budding. Have you ever seen any unicellular organism reproducing by the method of budding? Come, let us observe budding in an unicellular organism with the help of an interesting activity. Activity: take 50 ml of lukewarm water in a conical flask. Add 5 grams of active dry yeast powder and 10 grams of sugar to this water and mix the mixture well. Now, keep the conical flask in a warm place for about 1 hour. After an hour, take a drop of the mixture on a clean glass slide. Cover this drop with a cover slip with the help of a mounting needle and observe this prepared slide under the compound microscope. What do you observe under the microscope? Small bud budding out of many yeast cells are seen. Thus, we can say that unicellular organisms like yeast reproduce by an asexual method called budding. Let us learn more about this method in brief. Asexual reproduction occurs by budding in yeast, a unicellular fungus. Yeast cell produces two daughter nuclei by mitotic division, so as to reproduce by budding. This yeast cell is called as parent cell. A small bulge appears on the surface of parent cell. This bulge is actually a bud. One of the daughter nuclei enters this bud. After sufficient growth, the bud separates from the parent cell and starts to live independently as a daughter yeast cell. After studying about asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms, let us now move on to study about asexual reproduction in multicellular organisms. Asexual reproduction in multicellular organisms. Fragmentation. Fragmentation is a type of asexual reproduction that occurs in multicellular organisms. In this type of reproduction, the body of parent organism breaks up into many fragments, and each fragment starts to live as an independent new organism. This type of reproduction occurs in algae like Spirogyra and sponges like Cycon. Whenever there is plenty of water and nutrients are available to Spirogyra, its filament grow up very fast and break up into many small filaments. Each fragment starts to live independently as a new Spirogyra fiber. If a body of Cycon breaks up accidentally into many fragments, each fragment develops into a new Cycon. Come, let us now study about one more method of asexual reproduction in unicellular organisms, that is, regeneration. Regeneration. You may know that the wall lizard breaks up and discards some of its tail in emergency. Discarded part is regenerated after a period. This is an example of limited regeneration. However, under certain situations, an animal, planaria, breaks up its body into two parts, and thereafter, each part regenerates remaining part of the body, and thus, two new planaria are formed. This is called regeneration. We have learnt now that some unicellular organisms reproduce by budding. But do you know that even some multicellular organisms also reproduce by this method? Come, let us study about budding in multicellular organisms. Budding. In case of Hydra, under favorable conditions at a specific part of its body, a swelling is formed by repeated divisions of regenerative cells of body wall. This swelling is called a bud. Bud grows up progressively and finally forms a small hydra. Dermal layers and digestive cavity of the budding hydra are in continuity with those of the parent hydra. Parent hydra supplies nutrition to the budding hydra. The budding hydra separates from the parent hydra and starts to lead an independent life when it grows up and becomes able to lead an independent life. Come, let us now move on to study about yet another method of asexual reproduction in multicellular organisms. Vegetative propagation. Reproduction in plants with the help of vegetative parts like root, stem, leaf, and bud is called vegetative reproduction. Vegetative propagation in potatoes is performed with the help of eyes present on the tuber, whereas in bryophyllum it is performed with the help of buds present on the leaf margin. In case of plants like sugarcane and grasses, vegetative propagation occurs with the help of buds present on the nodes. Plants like carrot and radish perform vegetative propagation with the help of roots. Come, let us now learn about one more method of asexual reproduction in living organisms. Spore formation. You might have seen growth of fungus on a stale bread or bhakri. Do you know how this fungus exactly looks? Come, let us perform an activity to observe such fungal growth. Activity: take a piece of moist bread or bhakri and keep it in a humid place for about 3 days. What do you observe after 3 days? We observe cottony mass of fungus growing on the food item. Come, let us observe this cottony mass under the compound microscope. Fungi like mucor have fibrous body. They have sporangia. Once the spores are formed, sporangia burst and the spores are released. Spores germinate in moist and warm place and new fungal colony is formed. After studying about asexual reproduction in living organisms in detail, let us now proceed to study about sexual reproduction in living organisms. And modern technology. Many couples cannot have children due to various reasons. In case of women, irregularity in menstrual cycle, difficulties in oocyte production, obstacles in the oviduct, difficulties in implantation in uterus, and many other reasons are responsible for fertility problems in women. On the other hand, in case of men, no or poor sperm count, poor sperm motility, abnormally shaped sperm, and many other reasons are responsible for fertility problems in men. Due to advancement in the field of medical science, such problems can be overcome. Come, let us explore about some modern technology and institutes that have been introduced nowadays to resolve the complications and problems related to reproduction in human beings. In vitro fertilization, IVF. In this technique, fertilization is brought about in the test tube and the embryo formed is implanted in uterus of women at appropriate time. IVF technique is used for having a child in case of those childless couples who have problems like less sperm count, obstacles in oviduct, etc. Surrogacy. Some women have problems in implantation of embryo in uterus. Such women can take help of the modern remedial technique called surrogacy. In this technique, oocyte is collected from the ovary of the woman having problem in implantation in uterus. That oocyte is fertilized in the test tube with the help of sperms collected from her husband. The embryo formed from such fertilization is implanted in the uterus of some other woman having a normal uterus. Such a woman in whose uterus the embryo is implanted is called surrogate mother. Sperm bank. Nowadays, there are various problems related to sperm production which are observed in men. So as to have children in case of such couples, new concept of sperm bank has been introduced. This concept is somewhat similar to the concept of blood bank. In a sperm bank, the semen ejaculated by the desired men is collected after their thorough physical and medical checkup and is stored properly. As per the wish of the needful couples, oocyte of women of the concerned couple is fertilized by IVF technique using the semen from the sperm bank. Resultant embryo is implanted in the same women. The name of the semen donor is strictly kept secret as per the law. Come, let us learn about some more concepts related to reproduction in human beings in brief. You might have definitely seen twins in movies and also in real life. This is not mystical, but there is science behind this. Come, let us learn about the concept of twins in brief. Twins. Sometimes, two embryos develop simultaneously in the same uterus and two offspring are delivered simultaneously. Such offspring are called twins. Many couples have twins. Twins are mainly of two types: monozygotic twins and dizygotic twins. Monozygotic twins are formed from single embryo. During early period of embryonic development, that is, within 8 days of zygote formation, cells of that embryo divide into two groups. Those two groups develop as separate embryos, and thus monozygotic twins are delivered. Such twins are genetically similar to each other. Due to this, such twins are exactly similar in their appearance, and their gender is also same. That is, both will be either boys or girls. In case of monozygotic twins, if the embryonic cells are divided into two groups 8 days after the zygote formation, then there is high possibility of the formation of conjoined twins, that is, Siamese twins. Such twins are born with some parts of the body joined to each other. Some organs are common in such twins. Occasionally, two oocytes are released from the ovary of women, and both the oocytes are fertilized by two separate sperms, and thus two zygotes are formed. Two embryos are formed from two zygotes, and both of those embryos are separately implanted in the uterus, and thus dizygotic twins are delivered after complete development. Such twins are genetically different and may be same or different by gender. Yesterday, my neighbor was telling my mother that a woman in our locality has delivered 3 offspring. We all know that such events are very rare and are considered to be an exceptional case. Come, let us educate ourselves a bit about this concept of multiple pregnancy. Multiple pregnancy. A multiple birth is the culmination of one multiple pregnancy wherein the mother delivers 2 or more offspring. Multiple pregnancy may be the result of fertilization of a single egg that then splits to create identical fetuses, or it may be the result of fertilization of multiple eggs that create fraternal fetuses, or it may be a combination of both the cases. A multiple pregnancy from a single zygote is called monozygotic, and from 2 or more zygotes is called polyzygotic. Come, let us now proceed to the last part of this chapter. Health. A person's state of being sound through physical, mental and social aspects is called good health. In our country, there seems to be lack of awareness regarding reproductive health due to various reasons like social customs, traditions, illiteracy, shyness, etc. Especially there seems to be indifference towards the reproductive health of women. Occurrence of menstrual cycle is related with reproductive and overall health of women. Nowadays, women are working at par with men. Due to this, they have to stay outdoors for the whole day. Bleeding occurs during menstrual cycle. Due to this, the private organs, that is the genitals, need to be maintained clean time to time. Otherwise, problems regarding reproductive health may arise. Some problems regarding reproductive health may also arise in men. Therefore, it is essential to maintain cleanliness of their genitals too. Among the various sexual diseases, syphilis and gonorrhea occur on large scale. Both of these diseases are caused by bacteria. Occurrence of canre, that is patches, on various parts of the body, including the genitals, rash, fever, inflammation of joints, alopecia, etc. are the symptoms of syphilis. Painful and burning sensation during urination, oozing of pus through penis and vagina, inflammation of urinary tract, anus, throat, eyes, etc. are symptoms of gonorrhea. Do you know Population explosion. Excessive growth of population within short duration is called population explosion. From this data, you might have realized how fast the population is growing in India. We have to face various problems like unemployment, decreasing per capita income and increasing loan, stress on natural resources, etc. There is only one solution for all such problems, and it is population control. Family planning is essential for this. To control this population explosion, every couple should visit a public health center and educate themselves about family planning and various methods of family planning. Family planning can be done by practicing birth control measures. All birth control methods can be broadly classified into three categories, namely, the barrier methods, chemical methods, and the surgical methods. If these methods of contraception are practiced, the problem of population explosion can be brought under control.